gone to the island of Maui, little condo there of 1,800 square feet, strategically located. And this summer we went there, only the two of us, for all the weeks. And we would wake up in the morning many times before it was dusk, and I'd get in the darkness and make a cup of coffee. I'd go out on the porch, they call it a lanai, and I'd drink my coffee and wait for the sun to come up. Total blackness. And I know the biggest problem I have in my life is the same biggest problem you have in your life, and that's the person you looked at in the mirror this morning. It's self, S-E-L-F. And so many mornings I stand and I take self and make it acrostic. I say, Lord, I surrender to you. And after surrender all I am and all ever be to the Lord, I surrender. Then I spend the time emptying myself of so much extraneous stuff. I empty myself. S-E. And then L, I spend time just loving the Lord and thanking him. And sometimes the stars are still out early in the morning, and I just love him. And then I ask him to fill me. And I look and I see a little bit of the sunrise is appearing. And I just take a deep breath. Breathing air that no one else had breathed for 3,000 miles. It's utopia. Then I get my Bible, and this summer I have literally devoured the book of Romans. I have read Romans as though I had never read it before. And then I read and study the Word, and I have so much time, 2 or 3 hours every single day. And then I read other things. I read the biography of Winston Churchill during his war years, just out. The Last Lion. It's about that thick, and so many things I didn't know about the Second World War I'd forgotten. Then I was not through. I picked up a biography of Thomas Jefferson that was equally as thick. Talking about the art of power, and I discovered so much about the early moorings of our nation and the Constitution and those early days when America was still in a formation stage. Then I read all kind of little mystery books, and I read a lot of deeper life people as well. Finland never ceases to awaken me. He taught me something about the biblical meaning of surrender. And then I read our own Gary Thomas, many of his books, and I read a little bit of Augustine and St. John of the Cross. And then I read one little book someone gave me in the church entitled 10 books that screwed up the world and 5 that didn't help. And it was simple and informative, so I just read. I love to read, and that's what we did. And Joe Beth and I would get up in the morning, and we would sing sometimes or say together, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." That's what we were singing. This is the day the Lord hath made. And what a moment, and what a time, and it was just so perfect. I worked out. I used to say I run Pineapple Hill for 30 minutes, and then I said I jog, and now jogging has become more like walking, but I still pick up my legs, and I do some weight things like weights. I do some gut busters. I swim a little bit. I didn't play much golf, but I hit a lot of golf balls, and what a time. When we go to bed, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night was our goal, and eat a plant-based diet and fruit and a little bit of wild salmon, and just do nothing and let deep call to deep and restore that which is within. And after a couple of weeks, I noticed something on the lid of my right eye, just a little bump. And I put some ointment on it, and it got a little larger. Then I pulled out for me what is magic, Visahex, and I put a little Visahex on it. I think that cures everything. And I didn't blink my eye, but it kept getting larger and larger until finally, one Saturday morning I awakened and I said, we might better go to the doctor. I went in, he looked at it and turned the eyelid upside down and said, I know exactly what this is. He said, it is a chalazion. A chalazion, yeah. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just lose one eye. A chalazion. Whoa. And by the way, I've noticed something. When you have a diagnosis and you understand it in simple language, it's usually pretty serious. I've had people look and say, cancer. I've heard that. And I've had people look and say, heart bypass, blockage. I understand that. But a chalazion? I once had plantar fasciitis. I said, well, how long will I have it? And they said, until you're able to pronounce it, then you'll be over it. And so I went to that doctor, and he said he'd had 2 of them himself. I always like doctors who have what I have. And don't you? I've had. It makes me feel good. And he sent us to another doctor way on the other side of the island. He went in there and said, well, you may not have to have it cut out. You put hot packs on it. And so I did, day after day after day after day. And sure enough, it dissolved. And the surgery I had scheduled, I canceled it. And so I'm thankful that it's just virtually gone away. But I thought about that. You know, weeks, days after days after days, the same beautiful sky, the same sunrise, the same sunset, the same Bible, the same, this is the day the Lord hath made, but I wouldn't sing it quite as resounding as like, this is the day. You know, our lives are like that, aren't they? It seems like every day that something comes up. A chalazion pops out of nowhere. And you say, what in the world? What's going on? And life that seems temporarily beautiful or fine, or family and friends are going together, when suddenly your wife, acts differently toward you, and you don't know whether it's something you've said or done, or didn't say or didn't do. And your husband suddenly gets angry, and you say, whoa, what in the world? What's that all about? Or a friend you'd counted on backs away and doesn't respond, and what's going on here? And you get little chalazion pop up, and it comes up many times in lines. Have you noticed that? You get in car jams, and the cars are lined up from here to eternity, lines, waiting. And you're checking out, and there's a long grocery line, and there's someone up there with 10,000 items. Lines. And you look in the mirror, and there are wrinkle lines, and there are receding hairlines. And there are airlines that lose baggage and cancel flight. Lines. And little chalazion pop up. But this is the day the Lord hath made. Rejoice and be glad in it. How in the world can we do that? But you see, God has given us a day. He says, take a little slice of a day. It's not a year too long, not an hour too short. He says, cut out a day, and this is the day I have given you. Rejoice and be glad, not through it, in spite of it, in it. Rejoice, rejoice, have joy, joy, joy every part of that day. What is a day that God gives us? A day this is an hourglass, is 24 turns of this glass. That's a day. 24 turns of this glass. A day is 84,000 beats of your heart. Oh, that's a day. That's a day. A day is 1,440 minutes. That's just one day. A day is one sunrise and one sunset. That's a day. A day is one revolution of the earth. That's a day. And God says, take this day. You don't have yesterday. There are no mulligans. You can't redo it. You can't call it back. We don't have yesterday. Yesterday is past. We can be forgiven, but it's yesterday. It's gone. Don't worry about it. Tomorrow is yet to come. Don't take the worry, the problems, the challenges, the would-be calasia that may pop out, or the bird that may fly. Don't let that worry about tomorrow mess up today. Take today a brand new, spanking, 24-hour period that you can use, that's unexplored, that's unexperienced, that's unknown. And God says, I give you this day. And this day you rejoice and be glad in it. That's his gift to us. A day to rejoice. But at this moment in time, we'd flip on the television, and I was inundated by bad news. And the bad news yesterday was nothing like the bad news that I would pick up tomorrow. All the news that was so overwhelming. And you look at our economy, and we're told over and over our economy is in a recovery mode. But since this recovery mode was announced by our government in 2009, the average income in every American home in this recovery period has gone down more than $2,300. And that's a recovery? And suddenly we can't trust the IRS. Suddenly we can't trust when we make a telephone call. Suddenly the whole world is seemingly coming upside down, and the moral fiber of family and the home in murder and mayhem. And we look around and there's bad news, bad news, bad news. And how do you put your arms around it? Where are we going? Where will this lead us to? Bad news, bad news. Anywhere you look in life, disruption of family, morality all-time low, bad news. And even to put it all in some kind of tragic summary, I heard about a young woman who lived in Gaza. She was accused of adultery by her husband. She was put in the house, and the house was burned down. They hoped to burn her down and kill her in the house as well for her supposedly adultery. But somehow she survived, and somehow they took her out of Gaza and got her into Israel. And they took her, I believe, in the Hadassah hospital there, where they have a bank of skin, and plastic surgeons worked on this Muslim woman and restored her and saved her life and began to graft skin on her body until she began to heal. And she went back home, and they let her come back across the checkpoint back into Israel for periodic checkups. And as she was going back to one checkup, they found on her a suicide belt. Evidently the imam or her family had told her, if you will go and kill yourself and blow up those doctors and people there in that hospital that has healed you, that you'll be forgiven and Allah will take you into paradise. Ladies and gentlemen, what kind of world do we live in? In the middle of all the bad news, I was reading and I heard the TV going, and Joe Beth was watching William and Kate, royalty in England. They are going to the hospital. She is in praying. She's in labor. Da-da-da-da-da-da. He opens the door for her. Whoa, big. All channels reporting she's in the hospital. She's going to have a baby. Ooh. And then finally, the trumpets sound, the people cheer, the whole world, every media, every outlet of the press says time out from all of the Benghazi considerations, from all of the riots, from all the death, from all the destruction, from all the mayhem, of all the robbery, of all the exploitation, of all the terrorism. Time out! This pseudo-royal family, William and Kate, are having a baby, and the baby was born, and it was a boy. And when they came out of the hospital, miracle of miracle, the father was holding the baby. Oh, me! And I looked over there, and it took about 5 years for them to get a name, but all the world was holding their breath to get a name. What's the name going to be? Finally, the name came out. His Royal Highness Prince George of Cambridge, heir to the throne of England. Oh, man. Stop the press. Stop everything. This is it. I couldn't get it. I couldn't understand it. On one of those mornings of the beautiful sunrise with the calasia beginning to get smaller, I understood. I really understood. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we're so jaded, overwhelmed with bad news that the little birth of a baby, just a little speck, just a little reprieve, just a little moment of affluent royalty. A baby is born. We just needed. We were so hungry for just 1 centimeter of good news. Make no mistake about it, in the first century, in the Roman world, was filled with darkness, not unlike the darkness today, which a woman's life meant nothing. A child could be thrown away and killed. Might makes right. 1/3 of the population in the first century of the Roman Empire were all slaves. They had that iron band around their necks. Mercenaries protected the people. Entertainment was in the Colosseum, where human life was put on the line with animals and vicious hand-to-hand combat. Oh, I'll tell you, the world was dark and desperate in the first century, not unlike the world today. And people cried out with all kind of voices, "Oh, God, what's going to happen? What is the answer?" God answered. He answered with a baby. It wasn't pseudo-royalty. That baby was royalty. I bring you, the angel said, good tidings, good news of great joy, what shall be unto all people, for unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior who is Christ the Lord. People say, we want an answer in the future. Maybe somebody can come and give us an answer. Ladies and gentlemen, the answer has already come in Jesus Christ. You can't name, not a person on this earth can name a single political problem, personal problem, moral problem, family problem, business problem, conflict problem, illness problem that cannot be answered and healed with people coming to faith in Jesus Christ. Name any problem and I can tell you, what if this man or this woman or this nation or this entity or this tribe bowed their name to Jesus and took his life in their life? Let me tell you, every problem would be eliminated. There's no other answer. Absolutely no other answer. I want, Max Lucado is credited for this. I want you to look at the diary of a dog. 8 a.m., good news, dog food, my favorite. 9:30 a.m., good news, a car ride, my favorite. 9:40 a.m., good news, a walk, my favorite. 10:30 a.m., good news, another car ride, my favorite. 11:30 a.m., good news, more dog food, my favorite. 12 p.m., good news, the kids, my favorite. 11 p.m., good news, the yard, my favorite. 4 p.m., good news, the kids again, my favorite. 5 p.m., good news, dog food, my favorite. 5:30 p.m., good news, mom, my favorite. 6 p.m., good news, playing ball, my favorite. 8:30 p.m., good news, sleeping with my master's bed, my favorite. That's sort of a day in the diary of a dog. Let me read the diary of a cat one day. Day 2083 of my captivity. My captor continues to taunt me with bizarre dangling objects. They dine lavishly on fresh meat while I am forced to eat dry cereal. I'm sustained by the hope of escape and the mild satisfaction I derive from ruining a few pieces of furniture. Tomorrow I may eat another house plant. And the cat writes, I'm tempted to kill my captors this morning by weaving through their walking feet. Nearly succeeded. Must try this strategy at the top of the stairs. Seeking to disgust and repulse these vile repressors, I once again indulge myself to vomit on their favorite chair. Must try this in their bed. To display my diabolical disposition, I decapitated a mouse and deposited the headless body on their kitchen floor. They only cooed and condescendingly patted my head, calling me strong little kitty. Not working according to plan. I am convinced that the other household captives are flunkies, perhaps snitches. The dog is routinely released and seems happy to return. He is no doubt a half-wit. The bird speaks with humans regularly, must be an informant. I'm certain he reports my every move. Due to his current placement in a metal cage, his safety is assured, but I can wait. It's only a matter of time. The diary of a dog, the diary of a cat. We live in the same house, same master, same circumstances. One complains, one is thrilled. One feels like I'm captured. Another feels like, man, I'm free. If you had a diary, and I picked it up and read a day in your life, would it read more like the cat or the dog? Oh, but I have this calasia. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it, because the good news is so much a part of my life. I begin to see life from the supernatural perspective of Almighty God. Teach you something. Paul said, I'm separated for the gospel of God. Sign language. Everybody do this. Thumbs up. Good positive attitude in it. Put your hands together. Thumbs up. Separated. Say it with me. Separated. For the gospel. Let me show you gospel. This is a G. This is an open book. Sign language. For the gospel. Do that with me. Gospel of God. Now, do it again. Paul said, I am separated